Good day, everyone. It's English time. Let us talk about influences of history, culture, environment, and other factors in literary selection. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to explain how a selection may be influenced by culture, history, environment, or other factors. We have four various influences or factors in literary selection. First, cultural influence. Second, history. 3, environment. And lastly, economic. Let us talk about it one by one. Cultural influence. It may be demonstrated through human behavior, vocabulary, or language used, human emotions or perspectives, and material items. An example of a literary selection with cultural influence is How My Brother Leon Brought Home a Wife by Manuel E. Argilia. Manuel Argilia's stories depict life in Barrio Nagrepcan, La Union, where he was born. His bond with his birthplace, forged by his dealings with the peasant folk, remained strong even after he moved to Manila. How My Brother Leon Brought Home a Wife is a recollection of an afternoon adventure in the barrio with a brother's fiancée. It is a story of a man introducing his city-born wife to his more provincial family. Maria is being tested with Leon's family, especially his father, if she will be able to live a simple life in province away from the city. The next factor is history. It is a branch of knowledge that records and explains past events connected with studying or representing things from the past. It is about what has happened in the life or development of a people, country, institution, and others. The best example of it is March of Death by Bienvenido and Santos. Bienvenido Santos is a scholar of the Philippine Commonwealth government. When war in the Pacific came to the Philippines, he feared he would never see his family again, leading to a transformation in his sense of national consciousness and identity. March of Death expresses the suffering of many Filipino in Bataan Death March by the time of Japanese occupation. It shows sympathy and motivation. The third factor is environment, the circumstance, object, or condition by which one is surrounded, aggregate of social and cultural conditions that influence the life of an individual or community. The environment can facilitate or discourage interactions among people. It can influence people's behavior, mood, and motivation to act. An example is New Yorker in Tondo by Marcelino Agana Jr. Marcelino Agana Jr. was a playwright in 1958 who wrote one of the more popular Filipino comedies that have been produced many times through the years. New Yorker in Tondo is about a girl who grew in Tondo and went to New York for a year. She was able to adopt the life of New York with a short span of time. New York was a free and liberated country, comprised of so many different eccentric neighborhoods. She changed everything about her, the way she dressed, she talked, and mingled with others. She even tried to change everything about her mother. It describes what kind of life was there in Tondo and how was it living in New York. And the fourth one, economic influence, giving good value or return in relation to the money, time, or effort expended. An example of it is My Father Goes to Court by Carlos Bulosan. Most of his youth was spent in the countryside as a farmer. It is during his youth that he and his family were economically impoverished by the rich and political elite, which would become one of the main themes of his writing. He left for America at age of 17 in the hope of finding salvation from the economic depression of his home. In 1936, Bulosan suffered from tuberculosis and underwent 3 operations. My Father Goes to Court depicts the typical Filipino family: simple, poor, hard-working. The rich family and the poor family are having conflict with each other. Rich man in the story was very selfish and does not want to socialize with the poor people. He end up being sick because he only cares about his wealth and money. To summarize this week's topic, we talked about 4 various influences or factors in literary selection, namely cultural influence, history, environment, and economic. Reach out if you have comments, questions, and more. That's all for today. Goodbye.